I'm Boydell, I'm the Chief Executive of Travelodge Hotels, and we employ 13,000 people. So after a degree in physics, I decided that wasn't for me and I wanted to do something business focused. I joined Deloitte to get my accountancy qualifications. Having qualified, I moved into business and went to a range of finance roles, mainly in hospitality, leisure and retail, and ended at Travelodge in 2013 as CFO, and I was promoted to CEO a couple of years ago.
How does an hotel operate? Do you buy the land? Do you build it from scratch?
Different hotel companies operate in many different ways. So the way Travelodge operate is predominantly
refurbing 600 hotels. How do you decide that you're going to do that, and why did you decide to do that?
We look at customer feedback across the piece. Typical hotel cycle tends to be around 7 to 8 years in terms of refurbishing the whole room. So when do beds wear out? Kind of when do you need new chairs? When do the carpets wear out?
So how do you fit in to a team when you're the newbie?
So for me, trusting your instincts is about knowing when to ask questions. When does something not feel quite right? Is it because I don't understand it, or is it actually because something's wrong?
What I'm hearing is okay to get things wrong as well.
Yeah, 100%.
I could ask 500 questions about one thing because I'm so curious. Curiosity, easier said than done. Like, what gets you out of bed in the morning to fit the duvet?
Che vuoi gira largo da me, non sai che oramai è finita con te. Tu sei quella che mi fa passare soltanto guai. Chi sei?
So Joe, thank you for giving some time today to come over and have a cuppa with me. Well, you've got water, but I've got a cuppa, keeps me warm. To have just a conversation about your career journey, your life lessons, and anything that we can pass on to the next generation, but also people that are tuning in from LinkedIn, YouTube, and everywhere else that you can find the podcast.
Thank you for spending the time and for letting me on the show. Great opportunity.
I'm a big believer, go from having all the answers to all the questions in everything you do, and you're not the smartest in the room.
No.
Surround yourself with smart people. And my mum was an alcoholic, but the only thing she says, Jack, be more elephant, not hippo, because elephant have big ears and hippos have big mouths. And I just took that on, and that's the only bit of advice that I got growing up. But how, for one who's a little bit introverted, shy, nervous, junior in a job, you might not want to ask the questions. How would you advise them to approach kind of asking for help?
I think really understanding where you're struggling and where you need to understand, and then asking the right people. So that could be colleagues that you're working with, it might be your boss, it might be somebody else in the business that you know has had those experiences before, but trying to build those relationships with people so that you actually feel comfortable to ask those questions. Because you're absolutely right, you know, I'm definitely not naturally an extrovert, and you can be sitting in the room with everybody else talking thinking, oh gosh, actually, you know, this isn't the time. But actually then that time with your manager, that time with your colleagues, maybe outside of the room, maybe one-to-one if you're a bit more introvert, is a lot of an easier place to ask some of those questions.
So choose the location, time and place to kind of ask those questions.
And the type of questions in terms of making sure they're relevant for that person.
And trusting your instincts, is that something you develop over your career? Does it get the alarm gets stronger? And because it's just imagine working for a massive partnership like a Deloitte.
Yeah.
And you're saying, I'm trusting my instincts. You may get a few people look at you and go, well, you've been in the job 5 minutes. So how do you fit in to a team when you're the newbie?
I think it is about understanding your place in that team and really asking questions. So for me, trusting your instincts is about knowing when to ask questions. When does something not feel quite right? Is it because I don't understand it, or is it actually because something's wrong? How do I get that understanding? How do I go and find out and make sure that I'm jumping to the right conclusions?
So what I'm hearing is okay to get things wrong as well.
Yeah, 100%. You only learn by getting things wrong. You can't get everything right all of the time. Nobody does. So I am just a normal person, and I guess the interesting fact is I never wanted to be chief executive.
In terms of being curious, easier said than done. And sometimes curiosity can be taken as annoyance, or I could ask 500 questions about one thing because I'm so curious, but you've only got so much time on your schedule as a manager or as a leader. Where's the line?
And that is a real tough one, and it's one that actually I've definitely learned more as I've gone through my career. Certainly kind of a lot of feedback I got at a young age was, God, Joe, you cannot ask 10 questions in a row and expect people A, to remember the first one, and B, have time to answer all 10. Try and figure out which are the most important ones to you. Keep it to kind of 2 or 3 and then work from there. If there's clear receptiveness and people are willing to go further, then great, and if they're not, then you should have asked your kind of top 3 questions, and that you'll be able to then take that to another day, to another person, to kind of a different level of thinking. But yeah, you're 100% right, and my natural kind of would be, what about this, what about that, what about that, how does this work, why do you do this? And really balancing that and making sure that you've tried to keep that to what's really important, what really matters, that you really need to know to be able to do your job better.
Do you think curiosity is you're born with it? Do you learn it? Can you grow it? Like, how does it come about?
I think some people are naturally more curious than others, but I think if you work in a business that you're interested in, or a job that you're interested in, that absolutely helps you to be a bit more curious, because it's something that you want to know about and that you've got a real passion for and an interest in, and that makes a real difference.
How can you be that individual that goes into a workplace and bring that fun and that good sense of culture and be a team player? What can you do as an individual? They say it takes one to start the party.
Yep.
It also takes one to actually, Joe, how are you today? You look a bit sad. How can I help? Like, it only takes one to change the whole mood of the conversation, right?
Yeah. And I think that is really key with what we try and do in Travelodge, is really getting that culture where people feel supported, where they feel that they belong, where people genuinely care about each other. And we'd ask, probably that question twice. How are you? Yeah, I'm fine. No, really, how are you? If they're worried about you. And make sure that you know enough about the people that you're working with to really have that sense of when something's wrong, when it's a work thing that's wrong, or when it's a home thing that's wrong. From a brand perspective, Travelodge Hotels has got 600 hotels across the whole of UK and some in Spain. We were the first budget brand back in 1985. We welcomed about 22 million customers last year, across business and leisure and all walks of life into the business, and we employ over 13,000 people.
You've refurbing 600 hotels and having half of them already completed has created so much value to the local area and economy already, because you won't have, I believe that you won't have builders internally, you'll do an external agency, external partner that comes in, that creates jobs for them. Absolutely. Then they can have apprenticeship and vice versa.
Yeah.
How do you decide that you're going to do that, and why did you decide to do that? Is that feedback from the 22 million customers?
Yeah, broadly exactly that. So we collect customer feedback both through TripAdvisor, but also through our own internal surveys, as well as looking at Google reviews. So we look at customer feedback across the piece. Typical hotel cycle tends to be around 7 to 8 years in terms of refurbishing the whole room. So when do beds wear out, kind of when do you need new chairs, when do the carpets wear out, etc. And then we do, so back in 2021, we haven't been able to spend money for quite a while with pandemic. So what we did was took the opportunity to do a massive customer survey in terms of what do people want in their rooms. And then for our internal, working with external teams to work on a design. What are the things that really matter? Power sockets by the bed, big one. Blackout curtains, big one. Comfy chair in the room, another big one. And how can we build that into a design that then works from an efficiency perspective? And then thinking about, so getting then that room design, how do we go out then and procure all of the things that need to go into that? Recruiting the people that we need externally to help us with actually going out and refurbishing all of the hotels. A project plan for which ones are we going to do when, how much is it going to cost, and then customer feedback as well through the journey as you go through and do those hotels, so you make sure you're hitting the mark.
So there's so many different skill sets and people that needs involved that creates loads of different opportunities, right? Which is just by the refurb project in itself.
Absolutely.
And do you rent the hotel, and how does it work, like commercially, in terms of not numbers, but just like, how does an hotel operate? Do you buy the land? Do you build it from scratch? Do you rent a building? Is it a mix of different things?
Lots of different hotel companies operate in many different ways. So the way Travelodge operate is predominantly a leased model. So we will have a landlord that owns the land and built the hotel, and we will then agree to pay them a set rent. Our leases are normally 25 years. Gives certainty from the landlord perspective. It also gives certainty from our perspective in terms of investing in the hotel. And we are then responsible for basically looking after that building, for all of the refit that goes into it. We employ all the people that work in it, and that effectively will last for a 25-year period with rent that kind of goes up over the period. Other hotel companies do it in a slightly different way. There are franchise and management contract models where there's different levels of ownership and responsibility for the asset versus running the operations. But for Travelodge, we're mainly leased, and we've got just over 70 owned hotels now.
Wow.
So the hospitality industry is the third largest employer in the UK and employs over 3.5 million people, and it will contribute about £93 billion to the economy this year.
You know how to start, create, refurb, build, run, and everything in between an hotel. How come you went down the corporate road? Tell me a little bit about why you didn't go for the entrepreneurial kind of road in terms of your career.
I think it was probably circumstance in terms of what I grew up with. So as I say, I did a physics degree, didn't really know what I wanted to do, knew I wanted to do something. Working then in accountancy, an obvious place was to go into a large company. I probably didn't have the confidence when I was younger to do something like that. And also the responsibility of having a young son at that stage in terms of making sure that you knew you've got guaranteed income.
What is your kind of message to people right now from an individual point of view?
From an individual point of view, I think really you're going to get out what you put in. So if you want to do something, believe in yourself, have the confidence, go for it. And if you work hard, and you work hard in the right way, you'll get results.
What you put in is what you get out, right? And it all starts with you.
Yeah, 100%.
And my final question is, what's your duvet flip?
What's my duvet flip?
This actually links in really nice with Travelodge, doesn't it?
It does.
What's your duvet flip? What gets you out of bed in the morning to flip the duvet?
So I'll be honest, I am not naturally a morning person at all. But the fact that I know that my day is going to bring something new and different every day, if I can get out of bed into a lovely warm shower, plan and prep, what do I want to get out of today? That's what gets me out of bed. That best thinking first thing in the morning in terms of what am I going to do for the rest of the day.
And that is just brilliant. And you have to tell me where this robot Hoovers, where I can get one from. You don't know what it took and what I had to do this morning to get on this floor to make sure it was all clean for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jo. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your advice, and just being so kind-hearted. So thank you.
Thank you.